Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a little girl who lived at the edge of a great prairie. Because she always wore a jacket with a red hood when she rode her bike, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. Now, one morning, as Little Red Riding Hood sat eating her favorite wheat berry muffins, she had an idea. Mom, she said, it's going to be a real scroachy day. Grandma sure would love it if I brought her some muffins and lemonade. You know how crabby she gets in the heat. Little Red Riding Hood loved visiting her grandmother. Great idea, her mother said. So Little Red Riding Hood's mother packed a still warm berry muffin and cold lemonade into the basket. After airing up the tires on her bike and testing the brakes, Little Red Riding Hood set out on her way. Now don't forget, call her. Now don't forget, called her mother. Go straight to Grandma's, and whatever you do, don't talk to strangers. Sure, Mom, Little Riding Hood promised. Little Red Riding Hood pedaled down Toad Road past the gas station, the feed store, and the old Wilson's place. She waved at everyone she saw, and everyone waved back. As the edge of the town disappeared and the prairie began, Little Red Riding Hood zigzagged between the crops, taking the shortcut sunflowers, spade as she whizzed by. What a nice visit this would be, Little Red Riding Hood said. Grandmother simply adores muffins and lemonade. But who should be cutting through that some field, and up to no good, I might add, but a very hungry wolf. When the smell of those wheat berry muffins came wafting his way, the wolf's nose quivered. Gadzooks, he whispered. What is that smell? The wolf rushed towards the heavenly order smell. Whatever it is, I must have it, he growled. With one giant leap, the wolf landed right in front of Little Red Riding Hood's bicycle. Aha! He roared. Little Red Riding Hood slammed on her brakes. Heave! Be careful, she shouted. You could have gotten hurt. Surprisingly, someone like that. The wolf chuckled at the warning. What's in that basket, dearly? He asked with a wide-toothed grin. Muffins and lemonades, Little Red Riding Hood said slowly, for my grandmother. But such a tasting smell, the wolf drooled. They must be very special muffins. Oh, they are, Little Red Riding Hood said proudly. They're my grandma's secret recipe, and always take first pride at the fair. The wolf licked his lips. She must be a dear, sweet woman, she crooned. Do you have very far to travel? Oh no, Little Red Riding Hood answered. Just over the ridge, this side of Turkey Creek. Hmm. The wolf smirked, his mouth curly up the corners. How fortunate. I have to go, Little Red Riding Hood said quickly. Grandma's waiting. The wolf slowly turned in the opposite direction and point. Ooh, he gasped. What a beautiful flowers. Such a dear, sweet grandma surely deserves some of those. Little Red Riding Hood nodded. Gee, you're right, she said, jumping off her bike. Grandma loves flowers. Do you think she'd like the white ones too? But the whistle of the prairie wind was the only response. The wolf was gone. Of course, the wicked wolf had a desire plan. Hard, hardy, har, har. He laughed wildly when he forced through the wheat. First, I surprised the feebly old granny and steal her recipe. Then I will write for the kid with the red jacket to show up with the treats. Soon I'll hold the secret to those delicious muffins, and those two country bumpkins won't know what hit them. His evil chuckles drift through the fields. When the wolf arrived at Grandma's house, he found a note at the door. Little Red Riding Hood, out in the field. Love, Grandma. This will be easier than I thought, the wolf snarled. Grandma's obviously off her rocker, wandering around the heat. Muddled brains are so easy to pursue. The wolf crackled, feeling enormously pleased with his good fortune. But when the wolf searched for the fields, Little Red Riding Hood's tutoring granny, all he could find was farmers riding the tractor. Impatient, he shouted, Hey, old man, where's that innocent granny who lives in the house? The farmer, though, seemed to hear nothing. Very well, the wolf said with a snicker. I love surprising these dim-wit hicks. He began to silently sneak up behind the tractor. Then, before the wolf knew what is happening, the farmer wriggled around and grabbed him facing the front. Hold it right here, the farmer shouted. What in the heck do you think you're doing? The wolf gasped and stammered. I'm looking for the frail, loony muffin maker granny who lives in the house. Well, Sherlock, boomed the farmer, whose grip is tighter than a wolf. You're talking to her. The wolf's mouth dropped open and he began to shake. My, he finally whispered. What big eyes you have, Grandma. all the better you can see to see you stalking around my fields, answering Grandma answered. My, what big ears you have, Grandma, the wolf cracked. All better to hear you coming, Grandma answered. My, what big hands you have, Grandma, the wolf groaned. All the better to crush you like a bug if needed be, said Grandma. And luckily the wolf, Little Red Riding Hood, rolled up just at that moment. Grandma, are you okay? Called out Little Red Riding Hood. Sure, sweetie, Grandma said. Together they marched the grumbling wolf into Grandma's kitchen. Grandma's lecture all the way. Didn't you think if there was a little Red Riding Hood, there might be a big Red Riding Hood? I might thought I got rid of the bullies like you when I moved away from the forest. Might as well have a bite to eat while we decide what to do next, Grandma said. The wolf for once was silent. His mouth was full with delicious muffins. Of course, Grandma said at last. As soon after, Grandma opened her own muffin shop in town just west from the post office. The wolf, he was the chef baker, sales clerker, and dishwasher, being kept much too busy to cause any trouble for anyone. Naturally, the wolf got to eat all the muffins he wanted, which improved his bad behavior. Because just in case he got any idea of stealing Grandma's recipe again, Grandma always put the last secret ingredient to herself. Little Red Riding Hood, too, went back to work for her grandmother, delivering muffins on her bike. Every day, raining or shining, the wolf carefully packed Little Red Riding Hood's basket. Hey, kid, he called out after she whizzed down the road. Don't talk to strangers. And Little Red Riding Hood never did ever again.